Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Comedy Pop-Up Podcast. Our next live show is March 5th in Tarzana and features an all-star lineup with Jesse May Peluso, Thomas Dale, Nicole Amy Schreiber, Chase Anthony, Natasha Pearl Hansen, Brady Matthews, and Alex Kahn. For tickets to that show or any of our future shows, please check out our website, comedypopupla.com. All right, let's start the show.
Are you a Macklemore fan, or are we gonna have smoke here?
No. When I was 18, I went as Macklemore for Halloween, and I stole a giant fur coat from a thrift shop from Value Village.
So you liked them?
Yeah, it was cool. And then they played that song in the club that we went to, and I danced to it. Yeah, and people made a circle around me. It was my big moment.
There you go. I think you should embrace it. Because he started off like, Double XL did when they used to do the hot MCs of every year. Mm-hmm. And I started looking them up. And then at the time I worked at MTV in Canada, and they played that in the office. They're like, yo, what is this? And I was like, yo, that's Macklemore from Double XL. But I didn't know. He just was like he was just rapping all the songs that I heard. I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then it just blew up, and then he got ripped. Like he just, you know what I mean? Like they just. I think
it was the Same Love song, because he's like, in the third grade, I thought I was gay.
Yeah.
I like to draw. Yeah. I mean, that was dumb. It's a dumb lyric, but I mean, the content of the song is good.
But that is a weird lyric to say. That why you thought you were gay? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is that why it makes it dumb?
Because you like to color. I mean, I think so.
And clean his room, right? Or something like that.
Yeah.
It's very,
because my uncle was.
Now that you start breaking that down, imagine I turned on Macklemore. I take everything.
The first song I ever heard
of what? And then you're just done with it?
The first song I ever heard of from him was that Red Hot Chili Peppers sample where he talked about overdosing.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's the one that blew him up.
Well, there was one. Is it with someone else is on the chorus? And there's a video where like they're in a lake. There's two he put out where he talks about overdose.
Oh.
We're on the same page here, man.
Whatever. This is what people are going to say in the YouTube comments. The one YouTube, after getting dug with high, I read the YouTube comments, and someone was like, Gavin can't riff. And
really?
It like broke me.
You can riff though.
I know, but I got high. And
I
just sat there because I don't smoke.
Yeah.
So you don't smoke. I'll confirm that.
And on that note, welcome everybody to the Comedy Pop-Up Podcast. I've been recording the last 10 minutes of this.
Oh, cool.
I think you should keep it, man.
No, not really. Yeah, I have 2 minutes of Macklemore on here.
I think that it's a good intro.
This is an amazing episode. I'm glad to have both of you guys in here. I'm going to give you guys a proper introduction. First off, my first guest from Vancouver. He was named one of the TBS Team Coco comics to watch. He's a 2017 winner of the SiriusXM Top Comic Competition, and his comedy mixtape Premature debuted at #1 on iTunes. Gavin Matts is here. What up? Hey. Yeah. Is it weird to clap for yourself? You're like...
No, I do it every morning when I look in the mirror.
And our second guest... See, I wrote it out. From Windsor, Ontario, Canada. That's the east coast of Canada. See, I know something. His album, Good Friend, Bad Grammar, is nominated for a 2019 Juno Award for Comedy Album of the Year.
Wow.
And you know him from his Comedians of the World Netflix special. Please welcome Dave Merheje.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know Gavin was mocking me.
No, because you looked down at the floor, and I just want you to embrace it.
Oh yeah, I don't do well with that.
Be proud of your achievement.
I am proud though.
I was trying to make eye contact the entire time I was saying it. I was like, "This is all your."
No, I looked that way. I got I don't know why I did that. I have to get better at that.
Welcome, guys, to the studio.
Thank you for having.
I was just on Instagram before we were recording, and I saw you guys had a nice pizza party with Grant Cotter.
Yes, he's the face of Shakey's Pizza USA.
He called me today. I missed the call. I don't know if he had too much of a good turn up last night.
Maybe he just has leftovers.
Yeah, there was a lot of pizza.
He had too many Mojo potatoes. He's on that Mojo potato hangover.
I didn't mind the potatoes. I don't. Yeah,
I think that's what they're famous for, isn't it?
I didn't even know that. I would just drive by that place until Grant told us both about what he was up to with that place. Now that he's the face of it, and then he sent us a message to come for this pizza party.
I mean, he's going to turn it into a commercial or something.
Yeah, he has to do a commercial. It's so crazy good how he finessed just the opportunity. It was great.
Yeah. And that fool always looks the same in every picture. Like every picture, everybody's like enjoying the pizza, and he's like, I'm a comic model. He's like, here I am in the middle.
Well, he lost a lot of weight. I don't know.
And his kneecap just went right to the side in the scooter accident.
Injury too, and then he got in shape, and he just that's the best I think I've ever seen him look.
Yeah,
in the last 5 years. Is that bad to say? I
just met him. He looks good.
Yeah.
First impression. This is the point of this podcast. I ask every comic who comes on.
I met him. I looked him up and down, and I was like, "That's a good guy."
He's a good looking cat. All right, so both of you guys are from Canada.
Yeah,
which is amazing. Did you guys both start in Canada?
Yes.
I did. Yeah.
All right,
I did as well.
Yeah,
just on the West Coast.
Yeah.
So I know like Windsor is close to like Detroit, right? It's close to Michigan.
On the border, yeah.
So would you ever just like slip into Michigan to do some sets and work some stuff out? Or
I would have to, because there wasn't really there wasn't a comedy scene in Windsor, and there wasn't really that much. There was just Yuck Yucks, the comedy chain, would have like they let you do guest spots on a Thursday, but that's not enough to build your act. So, and then they started to do Battle of the Bands on Sunday. And they would put 3 comics on before, and then after that was done, we kind of took over, like promoting that night, and then that was our main source of getting on stage. And then from there, I was like, this is like, because I'm old, so this is like way before your phone had like Google on it, so I'd have to MapQuest it, I'd have to print it out, and go to Detroit or Michigan, and then just do open mics, but tell the customs that you're not getting paid. You're like, yo, I'm gonna go do this for free. And then, but it was just like I would have to like, I didn't know anything about Detroit or Michigan, so sometimes I would drive the day before, go to the space, and then drive back home, so that I knew the route.
Really?
Which was stupid on my part. I shouldn't have done that. I was an idiot, but I was so scared.
And I love open mics.
Well, no, I was just scared, right? And I have to pay a toll. So I was paying tolls just to go scope out places. But also, I didn't know Detroit that well. Like, I don't know. I'm a kid from Canada. I grew up in the suburbs. I don't know where the fuck I'm going. So I think if I had Google, man, I would have been so dope. Saved a lot of time.
How different were the crowds from like doing your Sunday night show in Windsor to like?
Nah, I guess the suburb rooms weren't that different. But then if you did, they called it Chocolate City. That was the run they called. Like if you did
Chocolate
rooms
Sunday.
If you did Detroit.
Shout out to Ranji.
Yeah, if you did Detroit, it was different. It was much more like honest. Like if they didn't like your shit, they would tell you. You know? And it was just like tough for that in that sense.
So you came up in Vancouver,
yeah.
right? Did you do a lot of stand up in Vancouver? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I started there. 5 years ago now. That's kind of where I came up. Sets every night. It's a good little scene, little pocket. So kind of like a Austin or a Chicago, I guess.
There are a lot of these spots that are like popping up that are like these weird little like, it's just great for comedy, little cities and stuff.
Vancouver's got a great scene.
I think it's because there's no industry there, so like the people that are doing it to do it, you know. So there's nobody has, motivations outside of stand up, so they just want to put on good shows and you get good crowds out because you build, good shows. Yeah.
Where was the first place that you performed in the U.S.?
The first place I performed in the U.S. was L.A.
In LA, so you skipped Washington and all that stuff.
Yeah, I guess I did the Seattle comedy competition, and I didn't make it out of the first week, but then I came when I was 2 years in, I came down and like stayed with Andy Haynes, and he helped me out and put me up on shows, and Dave was still out here too.
I was, yeah.
So.
And that's when you met Dave?
No,
early days?
No, I met Dave like pretty early on. Dino, I kind of like. Dino Archie was kind of drawn to. He was like the guy in Vancouver, and so like he was putting on these big shows, and he brought Dave out, and that's the first time I saw Dave.
I feel like there's a lot of people in these cities that like their purpose is to like bring young comics out to like different parts and like give them the opportunities that. So who were some of the people maybe that kind of took you under their wing and like kind of helped you guys out starting? This is the name drop portion of the episode. If you guys want.
Shit, I'm way older than Gavin. I'm trying to think. Ron Jossel, who's travels around the world. He's Canadian, but he would take me to colleges to open for him, which I bombed at. Pretty.
Was it even early on? Was it like were they still kind of like uptight about what you could say?
I was just a bad comic. It was it was an afternoon gig, and the only person that liked me was the person that sold the inset. or like at colleges where they set up those little stands. He's the only one that showed me love. He was just like, good job. I don't even think he said good job. He goes, way to go up there.
Way to go up there.
Like, way to just go up.
And he was at all the college gigs or just the one?
Just that one.
He followed you around.
He did. I would needed him. And then Ron would, another Kenny Robinson, John Paul, these are Canadian. They still live in Canada, but they travel the world. They all those guys I came up with were super helpful. Cedric Newman, Rob Clifford, all these. I'm trying to think of. I don't want to miss out on anyone. Shit, Russell was around. Like Russell was around too, but because and he was very helpful in his word and the words. Super nice.
Yeah. What was some of that advice that you guys got that maybe like helped kind of push you to keep doing it, or maybe you were like, maybe it just helped something click?
I don't know. I think the best advice I ever got was from Ivan Decker, and he said to just like lower the mic stand so people could see my face.
That is good advice.
Yeah, because I used to cover.
Oh yeah, you gotta. Someone told me to smile once. I'll never forget. They were like, "You don't smile." They were like, "Hey man, it's cool what you're doing. I'm not trying to take anything away from that, but you should try to smile." And I was like, "Oh, this is in Michigan. I would go over to this place called Club Bart's," and I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Try it." And then I remember starting to smile. I was like, "Oh shit!" Like I probably look like a psychopath. And another comic, he was traveling around Michigan and other places too. But I remember me and my buddy Jeff Ford watched him, and he was smashing. But then after he was like, he goes, "Yeah, I'm trying to find me on stage." He'd been doing it for like 15, 16 years. I was like, "What do you mean?" We were like, "What do you mean you? Wasn't that you?" And he's like, "Well, no, just and I was baffled. I didn't know anything about comedy. And then he goes, "You guys, man, you guys are trying to be you though." And Jeff was still is very, very unique. So I was like confused, didn't know anything. And I don't know how I got his number. I think he gave me his number and I called him like a wide-eyed comedian, like, "Yo, what do I do?" Trying to like get all the cheat codes to get out of like, and then he just told me, he was just like, "Man, just fucking smash. Just be you up there and smash, and then everything, and people will find out about you." And he's like, "And just be and have fun." And he was just very stern about it because I was trying to jam him up, and he just kind of gave me that line where I was like, "Yeah,
yeah." I think Dino's done that for me a couple of times too. Get mad at me. He's like gotten mad at me.
Yeah.
About what?
He's like, one time he was like, "Stop trying to be a fucking New York comic and lean against the wall." He's like, "What you have to say is not that important." He's like, "Move around a little."
Well, yeah, that's good advice.
Yeah, it was good advice.
Sometimes the best advice that we get is phrased in a very angry way of like, "Who do you think you are?"
Yeah, I don't think it was coming from like a bad place ever.
Like a stern. You need to have a stern sometimes. Way of saying things.
Yeah, I'm bad at learning. I mean, I'm still on the come up too, so it's like I still have people helping me, like fucking Dave or Andy or you know.
I need to advise. Advice. If someone could help me with the come up. I am 67.
I have a dude that gives his technique for giving me advice. So he's been in the industry probably like 20 years.
Yeah.
Shout out to Johnny Gold. This dude, what he does is he'll if I harp on something too much during my set, he'll just make fun of me for the rest of the week for doing it, especially like on Facebook. So like one of the things I talk about is like in my set, obviously I talk about being Mexican and stuff. He'll just comment on all my shit for a week. He's like, "It's because you're Mexican, huh? You're Mexican? You're Mexican, right?" And I'm like, I gotta change what I'm talking about.
He's not Mexican.
He's definitely not Mexican.
Okay. Well, Johnny Gold?
Yeah.
It's not Mexican.
No.
It could be, actually. I don't know.
I thought it was like short for like Goldberg or something, but he swears it's actually Gold. That's his last name.
What's his ethnicity?
What is his ethnicity? He's probably like some Scandinavian shit.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I call his hair color. I was like, on your license, does your hair color say translucent? I was like, or maybe fiber optic cable. I was like,
does he get mad? Wait, is he based here?
He's based in LA. You've probably run into him for sure. I'll show you a picture of him afterwards. I
like to put a face to the name.
Yeah. Well, because I actually met Dave a long ass time ago before I was even doing stand up at this little
I was like
bar
64
show.
At that time.
Yeah.
3 years ago, huh? I'm surprised you remember that. Long ago. Ancient.
But I'll give Dave credit. He's one of the first ever comics that I ever asked to like do a podcast, and this was years ago when I didn't even really have a pod. Like I had a college radio station show, but the building wasn't done yet that we were going to record at, so I didn't have a show, and I still was asking people to like do it. So I asked Dave, and
trying to finesse that conversation.
Oh, bro,
I said yeah.
He said yeah. So it was Dave and Mike Bobbitt. I don't know if you know Mike Bobbitt. And basically they were like, yeah, we're down. So when do you want this to happen? I was like, oh, so the place isn't really built yet. I was like, but we'll do it. And then Mike Bobbitt turns to me, he's just like, did you just invite us to do something that doesn't exist yet?
I would have said nothing. That's how passive I am. I would have been like, cool, man, just hit me up. Mike would do that. Mike's a comic I started with in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He had lived out here, and then he's super funny guy, and he helped out. Actually, he helped out a lot because I was like, coming to Michigan, Detroit. He let me stay at his place a bunch of times when I was like trying to middle up. He let me open for him multiple times, so he was very, very helpful and still a good friend and stuff. Very supportive, so and funny. That night he smashed.
Yeah. It was a great night, and I was super endeared. I think it's funny how much I think about that night because like it kind of motivated me to be like, all right, make sure you got your shit together before you start asking
funny though.
people
Yeah,
for things.
Mike. I remember Mike. Mike said that.
It's so funny, and it's funny because I always assume that nobody remembers who I am. Like I'm that type of guy. So every time I see Dave, I go up, introduce myself, and I'm like, remember that conversation we have, and then it just all clicks in, and then
that combo just puts it all. I remember us leave. It puts the whole night when you said that combo. It just the whole. I remember. Going there, it was a
That's
weird...
what Dave needs to remember things now.
Yeah. Well, I'm 67.
67. Loves J. Cole.
I love any type of rap that just has a lesson. Need to know about the youth.
Oh, man. All right.
Slick Rick.
Yeah.
So I want to know about when you guys first started out, how did your family kind of accept you guys doing stand-up? Was it something that they embraced, or were they very against it?
I don't think they cared.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't really tell anybody for a while. Okay. And it was never like, I moved out like once I was a year in just so I could be like downtown to do sets every night. So it was like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. I've never asked how they feel about it.
How soon into your career did they watch you?
My mom probably like 2 years. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not that far in, so it's insane, kind of.
Yeah, but how did that night go?
I don't know. Fun. I don't remember. I don't remember. I didn't have like some weird guy asking me to do a podcast. No, I don't drink. I don't drink and then go on, or I never did that.
Yeah,
I never, because I heard somebody say before I started, they're like, if you drink and then go on, you'll always have to drink. And then someone's like, that's why people like kill themselves.
Oh,
and I was like scared of that.
I don't know if that's all true. But.
I know. But that's what somebody said to me. And I was
crazy.
like, oh, I don't want to.
Gavin's in the back of the room watching a comic with like a mixed drink. He's like, he was so young.
Gavin had hummus, so probably, right?
Huh?
You had cucumbers and carrots. He's a healthy guy.
How about you, Dave?
They didn't care in a bad, like they didn't care in a good way, in a sense that they were like, whatever makes you happy. Mm-hmm. But my mom was like, just get a college education. Mm-hmm. My dad, I don't think he just likes that I make fun of him, so I don't think he kind of cared. They come to every show when I come to visit and put shows on in Windsor. They're there all the time. Yeah. My brothers and sister. It's just, but also they were like, yeah, so. Like they were like, yeah, man, we knew you were gonna do something like that. So they're not as like great. It's not like they're like, oh my god, our son does. They're none of that. They're just they were on board, before I even probably would have said it, because I would wait till when commercials would come on. I would memorize the commercial and spit it back to whoever was in the living room. So I was like a weirdo.
Yeah.
And that's not weird. I don't want to get in shit
yeah,
from insulting, but I just was into like that. I was into wrestling. I would imitate. I loved imitating wrestlers. Mm-hmm. My dad would take me to Detroit to watch events like Macho and Hogan, and when they would come down the aisle, I would turn around and do their entrance to my dad and stuff. That got my cousin was such a child. I didn't know he'd bring women to his house, to the crib, like girls he was dating, And he'd call me in. He'd be like, yo, Dave, come here, man. And they're like, yo, he's like, this is my little cousin. He'd be like, hey, man, do Macho Man. And I would do Macho Man, and she would giggle. And he's like, do Hogan. I would do Hogan. And he'd send me out.
And he would get pussy.
He'd get pussy. So when I got older and he came to shows, I was like, man, I know what you was doing.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad you went there with it. I thought you meant, so when I was older and I brought girls back to the pad, I would do Macho Man.
Yeah. And they would leave.
They were just cool. My family was cool about it. They're like, especially it's like a Middle Eastern, I'm Lebanese, and sometimes like Middle Eastern families, they just maybe want their kid to do like be a doctor, lawyer, or whatever that kind of stereotype is. But they weren't. Nah, they still like my mom and dad. Still, they were like, "Nah, man, this is something we felt you were gonna do as a kid. So we feel that you should just keep going and doing it."
So they were on board with it. That's super dope.
Very
my
lucky.
parents are white, so they were like, "Do whatever."
Yeah, they're like, "Are you even our kid?"
It'll work out.
They just go, "We're white, man. It always works."
I mean, yeah.
At the end, as you leave the house,
your hobby into a career. That's just what we do.
I mean, I think it was even. I always wanted to do stand up, but I just didn't know you could just do it. Like I didn't.
I didn't know.
When
I
you
thought
find out you can do it, like
it's nuts.
Yeah, because I was obsessed with stand up. Like I remember the first stand up shit I ever watched, like on Just for Laughs with my cousin. Just happened upon like Jeremy Hotz doing like a fire set.
Oh yeah, he
like when you're a kid, he gets you with his like weird thing. I don't know if you know who Jeremy Hotz is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was like, oh, that's funny. And then I just got obsessed with stand up and like comedy and shit. And
that's
then,
a Canadian icon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I met him. I don't. You didn't
like him?
No, I throw smoke. I
just thought he was
got his little dog. It's just
it's
like
he's neurotic though.
Yeah,
he's neurotic. From when I met him, he was
like
cool.
Most comics are.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, but I feel he was like very. It was I met him, but when I met him, it was like Just for Laughs, and there was too much commotion happening. And actually, no, we did a show and he was cool.
He's a beast.
Yeah, I remember sitting with him in Theater St. Catherine. He was cool. Yeah, his dog was with him too. Now,
maybe you need the dog.
I wish I could bring a dog.
Would you ever get a dog?
Yeah, I'd get a pug. If I can get a pug to travel with me, that'd be the best. I'd probably be in way better moods at airports. If I could travel with a pug, like, oh man,
you'd be the pug comic.
They're just so cute, man. They're adorable. They're hilarious. They could take the load off trying to,
Yeah, that's something that Ian Bag does. He brings his dog on stage now. His little, I don't want to get it's like a little, that's not a terrier, right? It's
I wouldn't
French
bring,
bulldog. That's what it is,
I wouldn't bring
bulldog.
my pug on stage. It would take all the shine.
Yeah. I think
dog's
that's
taking all the shine, man.
Yeah.
A pug on stage? Why would you want to listen to a guy flailing his arms when that little pug
is a pug?
Man,
I think that's the next stage
How
for
would
like
you pet your dog.
Yeah, Gavin, my dog would not. I'd have to hire someone to come pet him. Dog would be like, man, my owner sucks.
Hell yeah.
And he's 67.
Yeah, he's like 67. His knee hurts.
So you guys mentioned Just for Laughs. So it's crazy how I feel like Just for Laughs is like the iconic comedy festival.
It is.
And it is in Canada, but it does sell itself as like the international comedy festival and stuff. So I want to hear a little bit about your guys' experience with Just for Laughs. And Gavin, I know that after you won that top SiriusXM comic, you got spots at all the different Just for Laughs.
Yeah, so I've still, never showcased for them.
Which is great. That's where you want to be.
Yeah, so I could still do like the new faces, I think, but so I had to win that competition to get in, and it was just like this long Canadian-wide competition. I think people do it every year. I think everybody kind of wants to win it. It's like starts off with like 80 people get in, and then whittles down to 8 people at JFL 42 in Toronto. You do like a big theater. Everybody does 8 minutes, and then there's judged, so you find out the winner, and then you get it was $25K Canadian, and then you get spots at all the Just for Laughs, which is just like more money and exposure, and you get other festivals because like I'm still getting Canadian shit through it. So
So would you say that experience kind of was what launched you?
I don't think I would be here in the States right now if I didn't win that.
Are they meant particularly here in Koreatown at this comedy pop-up studio?
I wouldn't at all, because I wouldn't be in the States without that money to get my US visa, or I use that set to get a manager.
Yeah. By the way, shout out to Ben Miner, who I saw bring you up on stage when I was watching that video.
Oh yeah, Ben's a homie. He's a guy who he like created that.
Yeah.
So he like provides Canadian comics with like with a living because he plays their stuff on SiriusXM. So Ben is a good guy.
Canada Laughs, man. That was the channel that Ian Bagg show was on. So I would always email with Ben back and forth, and I was like, I felt like the little Mexican Canadian down here.
Yeah, you're kind of the Mexican Ben Miner.
That's what. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Although, yeah. All right. So how about you, Dave, with Just for Laughs? And
well, I did Just for Laughs in 1972.
I was in the first ever Just for Laughs.
So I was there when they designed the logo. That's when we could smoke indoors, cigarettes. Yeah, it was crazy. We didn't even have ashtrays, man. You just ashed on the floor.
His uncle is Victor.
My uncle is Vic. My uncle is the logo, right? Or the mascot. He's doing well. Really getting that money. But no, I helped me out. I did a competition. You did Homegrown too, right?
No, I haven't.
Oh yeah, we had that conversation. So Homegrown is like they look for comics every year around Canada, and then you compete. And at the time, they televised it last year on the Comedy Network and Crave, but before that, they never really televised it. So I did it in 2011. And it changed everything in Canada for me. It got me a LA agent as well, but it helped like other bookers and festival people go, okay, he can do 7-8 minutes. And, before I was just having a hard time breaking into anyone's radar anywhere because I don't know if they thought I was unstable up there. I don't know. But I think I did an 8-minute set and then I won, and then it helped so much. It helped me get back to Just for Laughs, and ever since then they've been super lovely to me. So it was. I owe it a lot. I still owe it a lot.
Mm-hmm. So you guys have had two very positive experiences with like comedy competitions and stuff. But how do you guys feel about comedy competitions in general?
I think the right one. I think if it's. Obviously, you can't be like the SiriusXM Top Comic thing is bad. You can't. Yeah. It's like a good prize and you get a lot from it. But I do think there are things where it's like people are taking advantage of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But just like Dave was saying, the homegrown. That's like, you can't. That's like a good situation to be.
It's a good shit. And look, I used to do competitions all the time just to get stage time, and these aren't bad. Like I did one with Akron, Ohio.
Yeah,
I would drive down every week Tuesday, and I knew there was this person
that would go on Monday to scope it out,
and show up Tuesday, right? Yeah. And dude, this person was bringing the audience, and we was getting bodied by this person, but we just kept going back.
Yeah,
me and Jeff Ford, we were just going back, and it was just like I remember I'm so sad after one. I bought a magazine, a rap magazine. I thought that was gonna make me feel better, and this is like Akron, Ohio is not close to Windsor or this is like 2 hours and a half to lose.
Jesus Christ.
Dude, that's like 5 hours. Then you're paying $10 in toll. And then we were just, but at the time, if you asked me of a competition, I'd be like, this competition sucks.
Mm-hmm.
This is not fun. But like at the time, I think I was just trying to get stage time and make a name for yourself or whatever. But now these competitions like XM, like he said, that provides so much opportunity for people, income. Look what it did for Gavin and everyone else. And Ben does a great job of doing it. And then the homegrown as well now you're at the festival and other people can see you. You don't even have to necessarily win that competition because there's agents and whoever there to see you. So they're not like always gravitated to the person who won.
Yeah. Just whoever made an impact.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I remember my first like 2 months in stand up, I did this competition at the Sin Bin, Goodfoot's place, and I came in second, and I won a beer fridge full of Dos Equis.
Oh, nice!
But I had to take it on the bus. So I had me and a friend on the bus with this like Dos Equis filled like fridge. And it was insane.
But it's still like, it's still, he won some. So you do. Yeah.
I drank all the beer and left the fridge in an alleyway.
Oh, that's how you got, you were like 19 or something, right? How old are you?
Yeah, 19.
Yeah. Okay. That's what, yeah.
I guess what I'm always nervous about, like when it comes to like comedy competitions, is the animosity that could form like between comics and stuff. Have you guys ever felt any of that stuff?
Yeah, but that's all the time,
Yeah,
regardless.
You just feel like
Yeah, people are always in a weird competition.
Why did he get that? I should have got that.
Yeah, it's a whole bunch of narratives going on in people's heads. So yeah, you get used to that, I guess.
Yeah, because I went to Big Sky this year.
Okay,
but I went as industry. I was like hosting live podcasts and stuff. But one of the things that was weird was like, so the entire week is just everybody like having fun and stuff, and it's you're with 30 of the best comics, and then the last 2 days is like the competition portion. The vibe changes so hard. Where it's like, why am I not final 8? Like that kind of like that thing kind of popped up. So it was weird to see that even in like one of the top competitions in like the US, there's still that kind of like, because I mean, it's disappointment and it's natural. Like everybody feels that kind of disappointment. But
dude, I started in 1978 and there was only 5 of us. So it was real competition. We had to live in the same town. So we saw each other every day. And we still learned to get along.
Just Dave and Red Skelton. That's all it was. That was his competition early on. All right, so Gavin, congrats! I saw on your website you're gonna do a Conan.
Yeah,
which is how are you feeling about?
I was supposed to have already done it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, is there a bureaucurity behind it? That's kind of.
No, I'm just waiting. I was supposed to have already do it, and then I got pushed, and then so.
Well, I'm curious. Like, Dave, have you done late night?
No.
Okay.
But I was around also,
Johnny Carson?
Yeah, when Carson wasn't smoking cigarettes. He was a vegan.
So how do you feel like, are you already prepping for it? Do you have your 5 down?
I mean, my set was approved like January 20th. So it's like the set is in stone and I haven't done it since then because it's like an old set. So
yeah.
I don't want to overdo it, and I don't even really care about the joke anymore.
Yeah. So, which I guess is frustrating, right? That's like a side effect of like when you do get something like that and you have to keep doing the same 5 over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of been through it with like the top comic competition before. I was just like, I don't want to run a set into the ground, just like, just be loose and do all your new stuff and have fun with stand up. And then who knows, night of, there's like a new little joke that you can like do. And so it's like, I don't know, it's best to always just be present. It's not supposed to be some like set in stone art form. If it is an art form, I think so.
Yeah, I don't even know anymore, dude.
Yeah, I mean, you would know better than me.
I would know when it wasn't an art form. When
you knew what it was an art form.
I knew when it was actually an art form. We designed it and we talked about it. Now it's lost.
It's Dave and Jonathan Winters on the Dean Martin Variety Hour.
Dude, I was around Red Fox, man, when he was recycling. He kind of fell off from that.
Are you intimidated at all by the fact that it is like it's not just like a normal set, or are you treating it like it was a normal set?
I don't. I mean, I haven't done that much like TV or whatever. Maybe 2 tapings, but I don't. The times I have done it, it just feels like, just go and be normal. And
he has good spirit, man. Like looking back, when I was that young, I didn't have that. I was just scared. I was very in my own head. So
I mean, I try to surround myself like with people like Dave, who's like a good friend. That like they've been through it, and then you tell them something, and they just have good advice. So like you don't have to necessarily go through something if someone else has already done it for you,
which is dope. I always feel like why do you hold that information from someone like that? If I could have cut out certain things, fuck yeah, wouldn't have to go through all that shit. I would. I remember I was talking to someone, and they were like against it. I guess I don't know what tip they were on, but I was like, they were talking about you got to go through all the steps. I go, no. If I could tell someone to avoid half these steps, I would have told them. If you can learn from somebody who's been through that, it's just way better. It's just way more productive. yeah, just give as much advice as you fucking can to make it easier.
Yeah.
Why go through that fucking garbage, dude?
Yeah.
There's also like this, like, I don't know, this, like, you get these like friend groups of, they're like small communities of like building each other up. So it's not like there's any competition. Like, it's not a big sky between your friends. You just want to see everybody win. And
do you feel like the camaraderie has changed from like when you first started to now? Like, have you found those refined friend groups, or were you always surrounded by people who were very supportive of you?
I think you just find those people. I think obviously there's people you're like, I don't want to fuck with them at all. And then, like, people from like, you're like, I don't want to see them ever succeed, you know? And they probably feel the same about me. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, real smoke.
Yeah. But I mean, you just
say some names.
You just get drawn to like certain people that, you know, you just like, the first time I saw Dave, I was like, holy shit. You know, the first time I saw Dino, I was like, holy shit. I was like, you know, you just realize that there are people like, I mean, the first time I ever watched stand-up, you don't realize that there are good stand-ups that aren't the famous people yet, you know?
Yeah.
Like, the first time I ever saw it, it was like the day after I graduated high school, I saw Aziz Ansari at a theater and Chelsea Peretti opened, and I was like, oh, I didn't know there was an opener, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, this is before she was on the Brooklyn one?
Yeah. This was before.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah, so, and I was like, I'd never seen her before. So
how would you know though if you were not really in that world yet? Like if there's an opener, you know what I mean? That's a very
I know, but I was like, oh, that's what I want to do. You know?
It's dope, dude.
I heard once that like one of those like advanced like comedy things or whatever is to find out who's opening for like the big names on the road and like to really like kind of like fuck with them and like get to know like their trajectory and stuff.
They're usually dope.
Yeah. Dope comics, and you could kind of learn from them as well. So last thing I want to talk about is Netflix, the comedians of the world. Dave.
Yeah, I was around when they were at the remember the old what is the Gavin, the thing that when they roll film, dude. That's how old I am. I forgot that whole thing. And it's like you were talking about people inspired by. I remember sitting there seeing Lenny Bruce, man. It was wild, dude.
Yeah, Dave has a character that somebody has to play Dave in Miss Maisel. The first Lebanese comic in New York.
It was crazy, man. And at the time you couldn't say you were Lebanese, man. You had to say you were Spanish or something. I couldn't even say it.
Puerto Rican, Spanish or Jewish.
I would say, it was tough, but
he's a real trailblazer.
Thank you. I'm really glad that I got to witness Netflix and streaming services at the time.
So how did that come about? How was it like kind of like the process getting it, and also what did it do for your career?
I got it. Well, my agent had called me and he said, "Hey man, they're gonna throw your name in." And he's like, "Don't get your hopes."
Which is always solid.
He didn't mean it in a bad way, but I still remember that call because I was at a cafe and I was about to go in the bath. I was like, "Yeah, man, hurry up! I gotta go to the bathroom." Or I just finished, and then he was just like, you finish a good pee, you're like, and then he just called me and he goes, "Don't get your hopes up," and hung up. And then I was like, "Yeah, I guess I won't." But that helped actually, because then I had my hopes up. Like, oh, okay, this seems far fetched, anyways. Yeah. So maybe he's protecting me. And then I thought I didn't care. Then about midweek, it hit me. I go, oh fuck, I should care. So I got like thirsty. I called him. I go, "Yo, did we find out anything?" And he goes, "Not yet, man." And then he's like, "Let me call him in like a few days." And then he had this is probably it's gross. I went to take I was taking a shit, and he called me. Well, I don't even know why I answered.
You're always going to the bathroom.
I'm always going to the bathroom. He answered.
Going to the bathroom.
And he just goes, he was lit. Probably the most lit I've ever seen him for anything. He was like, "Fuck yeah." And I couldn't tell him that I was taking a shit. He talked my ear off, which I not in a bad way, for 35 minutes. 45 minutes. And my buddy was waiting upstairs. So I just told him I was going to the bathroom. So now I'm gone for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And then when the call drops and my buddy goes, "Where the fuck are you?" It was Alex Pavone, very funny comedian. And I go, so I had to come upstairs, and then he was pissed. But then when I got to the table, I knew he was going to yell at me. And I was like, "I got Netflix." And then he probably doesn't like how I say this. We both cried. We both embraced each other. And then one of his buddies, a comic from New York, came around, and it looked like I had told him something bad because our eyes were wet. And he goes, "Am I interrupting?" And then he had to sit down, and then I was like, fuck. And then I had to put together 30 minutes, which I don't know. Because I had shot something myself a few years before that. So I was like, we put out like 54 minutes of that. So I was like, oh man. And then it just hit. It was scary. I was like, oh fuck, what if this sucks? I got to put this together, this 30 minutes in like 3-4 weeks. And then, and then I flew to Toronto because I can get on stage there a lot, and then just ran that set. Then I put on a night, like a pop-up show, 3 spots at this place called The Corner, and did 30 minutes and ran it. I had my boy with me. And then we shot it in Montreal July 28th at the Club Soda, and did 2 shows. And yeah, I think that month I put in a lot of attention to it, worked my ass off for it. And Netflix was super cool. They were just like, this is your thing, create what you want to create. And it was a very, very amazing, grateful experience.
Would you say that this was another launching point for you afterwards? How was the reception in terms of like, did people start hitting you up afterwards? I saw you from Netflix.
Yeah, they did that. And it's like, I think a lot of times, you assume it's going to catapult. You're like, yo, it's a wrap. I've arrived. But I think I trained my mind during that whole process, and after that, it who knows? Yeah, if you put that much pressure and then it doesn't happen, then you're like, fuck, I'm depressed. And then, but I just took it as this, man. One, I didn't think I was going to get this opportunity on that platform. I got that opportunity. I put out something that I enjoyed. I hope people enjoy it. If you don't, well, that's fine. It's not the end of the world. Yeah. And I just looked at it like that. If fucking it doesn't get me anything after, whatever the reason happens after, it's out of my control because I did the best I could do on my end. I gave a product. Whatever happens after, it's unless I'm knocking on everyone's door and telling them to watch it, I can't control that. And that's that, and I'm fine with that. And I'm not saddened by it. I'm just super comfortable that I was able to do stand up for like so long, especially starting in the 60s, and being able to, get to that point. People getting to Netflix is it's a goal for me, and I did it. So whatever happens after that happens. I had fun.
That's dope. And that's such a mature way to think about it too.
Yeah. Well, when you're 89.
Yeah. You're 89, dude, you've learned a lot.
They did shoot it in black and white for authenticity.
I told them to. I go, and
you went Bill Burr on them.
Because comics, I'll talk to some comics and they're like, yo, what did it do? And they're like, you could tell it feels like they're projecting. I'm like, oh, I don't know, man. It's not like fucking, you know what I'm saying? It's not like Hollywood just opens the door.
Yeah, there's
like, come in.
There's always the next thing.
Yeah, that's a very typical comic thing. Where it's like, all right, what happened after that? It's like, no, that's a product that you should.
Dude, there was people would hit me up from like Italy, Peru, Dominican Republic. Like they were tweeting at me in Spanish. I'm like, that's just good enough for me, man. Somebody in fucking Croatia saw it.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'm ever going to go there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like that in there is a victory.
Global exposure.
I was at that second take thing.
It was like super supportive.
It was dope to just be there. That energy.
It was wild. Yeah. It was a wild. Yeah. My brother got to be there with me. Yeah. He got to watch it, and then they were cool. It was just a cool experience.
Brought these girls, but
he did. Yeah. Gavin brought girls, man. I didn't know. I did nothing.
I didn't even.
Dude, I did nothing. If you hung out with me after that, you're like, this is lame. He's got a towel on his head. He's tired.
Up.
If it wasn't for Gavin, it would have just been very bleak back there.
Really?
Well, my brother wasn't picking up. He can, but he's, and just Gavin came through. It was like a party. I remember it too. Yeah, it was like there was like white women there, which I love. Blonde haired white women. It's great.
Gavin called you over to do your Macho Man.
No, it wasn't like that for me. No, I didn't. No, it was all for Dave.
It was all for me, man.
That's dope. Well, I'm happy for you guys. I'm happy to see
also, Dave, I don't know. Dave's going to be in the Rami Youssef's Hulu show. He's a big co-star of that. I mean, I just plug that. I don't know who's.
Yeah, that's coming out in April, man.
Coming out in
April 19th. They just put that information out to the world. It's on Hulu. It'll be streaming. It's wonderful. Check it out.
Dope. So catch Dave on that. Catch Gavin. Hopefully we'll make
early March.
Make Conan have it. I have a couple more, just a few quick fire questions, and then we'll get out of here. But first, go ahead and plug your guys' social media. Anything else you want to plug? Any dates coming out? This is coming out on Monday, so in like 6 days.
Just follow me at Gavin Matts if you want, and I tweet sometimes, and I Instagram frequently.
That's the new thing, man. Instagram. How about you, Dave? What's yours?
On all social media platforms, Dave Merheje, Merheje, and then Communities of the World. It's in the Canada section. Watch it. It's on Netflix. I should still plug it. So yeah,
watch it. It was so dope, man. I watched it. It was so.
Thank you, man.
It was so
Thank
great.
you.
All right, here's a couple quick fire questions. We'll get out of here. If you guys could do coffee with anybody, alive or dead, who would it be?
Ooh, Bay Arthur.
I don't know who Bay Arthur.
That's cool.
Shit, I've been around because I've been alive since 1920.
You probably had a coffee.
I did have a coffee. Yeah, I would say Richard Pryor.
Richard Pryor. Nice. What smell reminds you of home?
What smell? I'll call it Gavin.
Sweat.
That's gritty. I like that. I have a whack one. I think cleaning apparatuses are like smells because my mom cleans a lot.
Yeah.
That would.
A lot of people say the Pine Sol or Fabuloso.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that would remind me of home.
Nice. If you weren't a comic, what would your career be?
Be homeless.
Shit, you getting deeper.
That's the real answer.
I would try to be like an agent for rappers or something. I work in clothing, a clothing store, like an urban clothing store. That's what I think I would do. And so I can listen to mixtapes and new music, yeah.
Nice. So you can find the next Macklemore.
Yes.
And if you could give barely starting out in comedy you a piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be?
Me?
I don't know.
What would the piece of advice be? I don't know. Don't listen to anybody.
That's good advice. That's a good one. I probably same thing and have fun.
Give everybody
Give them
smoke.
some smoke. Have fun is key.
Don't be so nice.
Yeah,
No, just be
talk
nice.
to me
and-
nice.
Just be nice and don't listen to anybody.
Nice.
Have fun is a good one. I should have took more and just don't get caught up in other people's stuff, moves and movements and stuff and accolades. Yeah.
Cool. Well,
He'll
thank you,
never
man.
blow up. Hollywood will never open the door.
I was there when they put the H on the mountain. Hollywood.
You were there when the girl jumped?
No, I was on vacation. But yeah, I'm 89.
All right, guys. Gavin Matts, Dave Merheje, thank you guys so much for being on the Comedy Pop-Up Podcast. I've been your host, Paul Antonio. Peace.